good, if not great, offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, this time, I felt very strongly that A&M would have if not elite,
a very strong
offensive line. This year,
you don't know.
I don't know. I have a lot of faith in Adam Cushing. I trust Mike Elko's evaluations of guys, but we're kind of boosted, right? Our optimism would be boosted by, hey, they got
DeSantis, if he were to come back.
The kid from LSU, the tackle, Tyree Adams.
Yeah.
And Colin Eccles
Yep.
from LSU to come in. Yeah, except for LSU's line wasn't very good.
Right.
Doesn't mean it was their fault. And it doesn't mean that working with Adam Cushing doesn't make those guys maybe great.
Yep.
The South Carolina guys. So it's just that I have to, I need more to only trust my own eyes. And I just need to see more.
So are they, in your mind this year, they're TBD for sure for all of us, but heading into it, they're like, they could be just as good? Or are they?
Yeah, they could be. I think anytime you start with you know who your quarterback is. Now, that was the case at LSU. In the case of South Carolina, it didn't work out. But anytime when you feel like you've got a good quarterback, right away you've got a head start. And loved what they did in the portal receiver. Feel good about running back. Feel great about tight end. Okay, so offensively, I think they're still going to be good. The question is how explosive, how good. Defensively, I don't know how you lose a guy like Willie and say, yeah, we're going to be better back there. Maybe you will. With some of the guys brought in, and maybe some guys just get better.
Yep.
And how do you lose Cassius Howell and Albert Regis and say, and Tyler Onyedem and say, hey, we're going to be better in the defensive line.
But maybe
you will, because I didn't know what Tyler Onyedem was going to be last year until I saw him play.
And I'll say this too. Maybe you're not as good at getting to the quarterback, but maybe you're better at stopping big plays.
I would take that.
But the issue I have, and I have every year, how many questions you have on one hand versus answers, right? And if there's more questions than answers, that's where I start to say I can't be as optimistic. And I think there's way more questions heading into this offseason than there were a year ago.
Yeah, to me, the questions on defense are almost the same as they were last year. Because we were saying, who's going to rush the passer? Well, It turned out...
Cassius Howell's going to rush the passer.
I think the only real question I have, is how good the offensive line is going to be. That's different from last year.
What about running game? Because a year ago we were like, hey, we're going to have Le'Veon Moss back, the best running back in the SEC. Yeah. Let's go.
No, I think their offense. You pointed this out to me last week, so I'll give David credit for this. Because we said, yeah, but they're going to miss Le'Veon. And you said, yeah, but you didn't have him.
You didn't for
half the year. And like, yeah, and I think Ruben Owens came in and he played pretty well. He's got to get better. And a lot of guys got to get better. And I'm really intrigued by the kid from Carthage. Was it KJ Edwards?
Yep.
I'm really intrigued what he's going to bring in. I like Morrow, so I don't think running back is a position of concern.
Now, there are many questions on some of the teams that A&M is going to face, such as Alabama's got a bunch of questions.
What is going on there?
Yeah, they got questions. LSU, I think we naturally think they're going to be good because Lane Kiffin's been pretty good the last 5 years, right? He's been excellent the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. So regardless of a brand new roster and all the changes, I think they get an automatic bump.
I look at LSU right now and I say, all right, they got receivers. They always have receivers. They brought in the kid from Arizona State at quarterback, so they're going to be fine there. Running back, got good running backs. The problem last year was their offensive line, and it seems
they've lost guys.
That they're not even as good as they were.
Yeah, but maybe a change at quarterback.
The defensive secondary is not going to be as good without Delane and Halsey. It's just not.
Yeah.
The one corner who's fresh, he's really good. I'll just throw on the other side.
Yeah, they did pretty good in the portal. Texas, I think we perceive them to be better next year.
Offensively, they've done some work in the offensive line, the portal, but I don't know if it has enough. I think Texas will probably be better offensively than they were last year. They'll probably be very representative of what they were toward the end of the year. I have serious questions about Texas on defense.
Yeah. Missouri, I think there'll be Missouri-ish. They've been, a team that's pretty good.
Probably about the same as they were last year. Still got Hardy.
Austin Simmons, right?
We keep hearing how good Austin Simmons. He's probably better than Pribula.
Yeah. I don't know what to expect about Tennessee. I expect Oklahoma to be about what they were this past year.
Who's going to be Tennessee's quarterback? And now, here's the thing about Tennessee. That at some point, do you just not go into the portal because some of the guys you recruited are actually good?
They got some guys.
But they're going to be inexperienced at quarterback. Maybe not by the time they play A&M.
And then South Carolina, which seems to be always a hard game for A&M the last few years. Even the years were better.
Well, they got the tackle that I liked from NC State. Dylan Stewart, unfortunately, still had a year to play, so he'll be wreaking havoc. I'm going to have to do a deeper dive into South Carolina. South Carolina, wait, they're going to be in the. They're going to be vastly improved. They're going to be in the playoff.
That's what Shane Beamer
told us so. Don't be lying, Shane. Don't be lying.
Did you see that there's another lawsuit in the transfer portal world?
I'm not surprised, but I might have missed that one.
Darian Mensah, the Duke quarterback, trying to go to Miami. He's being sued by Duke. Last-minute transfer portal entry request, attempt to enter the portal, and Duke's suit attempting to prevent him from playing for another program. The latest example of a player school clashing over terms of a player contract.
If you sign a contract, I thought a contract's supposed to be binding.
But do you have the contract through the school?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen his contract, but I assume the contract, whatever contract he signed, was saying you're going to play quarterback at Duke.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be one of those situations where
it happened at Washington.
Yeah, they had to pay a buyout, and all of a sudden LSU said, "Wait, we don't have $9 million.
We're good."
What if Sam? Here's where the LSU got really lucky because they thought they were going to be able to win that suit, and says, "No, you're going to have to pay." And then Sam Levitt, a lot of people would have said, "No, man, I was sitting right next to you." And you're saying, yeah, we want you, and then you didn't.
Right.
So I'm going to Tennessee. So I wonder how much extra money they had to come up to assuage those hurt feelings. Because had Sam Levitt not decided, okay, I'll go to LSU. Well, we're at LSU. What predicament would they be in at quarterback? So anyway, they're going to be doing a lot of prayers for the health of Sam Levitt all year. But back to your point, it seems to me that if you sign a contract, contracts are binding.
Yeah.
And some of these kids got to figure that out. Do they know they got to pay taxes?
Well, I mean, what I think his representatives are saying, hey, you can enter the portal. You can't stop player movement. Well, yeah, if you sign a contract, you can.
Yeah. If there's a contract signed. Now, it's like coaches. They say, they're not going to make them coach, but you got to buy them out. And then you say, well, again, like LSU, can you really afford to do that?
Right.
But what are we having contracts for if they're not binding?
Exactly right. Hey, we got a basketball game tonight.
Big one at 8:00 against the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Yeah, we're going to break down that game throughout the show. We're going to have Tom Schuberth at the end of the show at 10:35. We'll get into it, OB and myself. This is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and this hour has a name, OB.
It's the Go Hour.
Presented by the
warehouse.
At CC Creations. That's right. By the way, we're hanging out at a very nice area.
The Holistic Planning Cool Zone.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up on the Buppies.
Bartending and catering. See how I kind of switched it up there? Catering and bartending. They do it all. The hotline, the number is 979-693-1150.
But you can also text us on the Catalyst. Pure Performance Energy text line.
Pure Performance Energy. And I need some energy so I can give some pure performance today.
That number is 979-693-1150. Let's go around the room. Why do people do that?
Because you're refreshed.
But I do it too. But
oh man, that was great. It was great. I feel like
why can't you just say it was great?
Because I'm.
Cade, make a sound for us. That was gross. What's up, buddy?
What's up, y'all?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I think the whole Darian Mensah thing is pretty interesting. I think it's the first time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's the first time that the school is actually the school is suing the player over like violation of NIL contract stuff. Is that true?
I think Washington
was going to. I don't know if they actually got that far.
Right. Of course, we don't know what the actual language of the contract is. So maybe Mensah has a smarter case. Mensah smarter,
yeah,
than Washington did.
Maybe,
or actually, even better because Washington obviously had a smart argument because they won.
Yeah. Look. We just need real rules. Like, it doesn't have to go to court. Like, this is the rule. We follow it. And that's it.
That would be nice. That the rules that everybody. But here's the deal. Here's the problem. It shouldn't have to come to this. If coaching is such a slimy profession, because coaches always say, well, we just want rules. And then you'll break them.
Yeah.
I mean, they always whine about tampering. And yet everybody's doing it. So why doesn't, because they say, well, if I don't, he will if I don't. So why not just say, hey, I don't think that's right, so I'm not going to do it.
Then they lose their job.
And then somebody, and then you have an organization, back to the rules, that will actually not just when they break a rule, not just slap them on the wrist, but there'll be actual consequences.
Dak Prescott can't just leave the Cowboys in the middle of a contract.
Because he has a contract.
Right.
Imagine that.
Yeah. You can't buy out a contract if you're a player in the NFL, but what you can release them.
I think it would be interesting if they started doing...
You hold out.
Like what Kawhi Leonard did in his last year with the Spurs, where he just straight up said, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going to sit on the bench even if I'm healthy. Because I don't want to play here anymore. And so...
I'd be the kind of owner who'd be like, sit.
Yeah.
I'm not trading you.
You signed a contract with us. You don't want to play, but you're not going to play somewhere else.
Right.
You signed a contract.
Unless we get better than you.
Well, unfortunately, in college football, if you're to get better than you, I'd have to do the exact same thing that I'm complaining, that I'm litigating.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylee Dreyer. Hello, Kaylee.
Good morning. How are y'all?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
I want some weather reports throughout the day.
I was literally going to say that someone in the YouTube chat said that they went to the grocery store and bought everything to prepare for this winter storm that you've been talking about.
Are you a prepper, OB?
No, yeah. I'm going to be.
You buy some bread and some milk and...
I don't have any of that right now. But of course, I haven't had either of those things in about, 3 months.
Okay.
Eggs. Need some eggs.
Yeah.
Need some Gatorade. You know what? I don't have to be a prepper because my wife is the ultimate prepper. Like, we're ready in case of nuclear fallout.
You got it all.
we got. If in case of Armageddon, I'm going to gain weight because we have so much.
Yeah, so much good stuff. Kaylee, talk to us. What do you got?
Yeah, so talking softball, the ESPN USA softball preseason poll came out yesterday, and the Aggies are ranked number 11. A&M is one of 12 teams ranked inside the top 25, and they'll begin their season hosting the Aggie Classic on February 5th with a doubleheader against ACU and Utah State.
I'm assuming you mean one of 12 SEC teams in the top.
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, one of you're 11, you're one of 12 teams. So I'm thinking, she must have meant SEC.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I was just clarifying to make sure I didn't miss something. It might have been one of 12 teams in the state of Texas, right?
One of 12 SEC teams in the top 25.
Okay, it's just the editor and me.
What else do you have for us, Kaylee?
The number 2 Texas A&M women's tennis team had a perfect opening weekend.
Of course they did.
With the 7-0 wins over Air Force and Sam Houston. They are now 4-0 and have a 75-match win streak at home.
I would expect nothing less from the Dream Weaver.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, let's go out.
We're going to have another champion in the studio today, I believe.
There's so many. Which one?
Patrick Henry.
Patrick Henry.
Good old Pat Henry.
I mean, you can't throw a dead cat without hitting a championship coach around here.
No, you cannot. Hey, 1775.
1775.
All right. You have to pick a different meal today.
Okay.
In fact, you're going to start with turkey. I'm picking for you.
That's fine. I like the turkey they have there. I've sampled that turkey, and it's excellent. And quite frankly, I should be eating more turkey. Let's face it, I kind of look like Olin the Hut, So if I could
you're wearing green?
Well, I'm Olin the Hut. But if I went down and just ate that turkey, number one, my taste buds would be celebrating because, hey, this is really good.
And healthy.
Yeah. And then, I could, the waistline would be better. I wouldn't be Olin the Hut as much.
But let's say
I'd be Olin the Hut.
Let's say, you know what? You get a cheat day. You get whatever you want at 1775.
Oh, well, if I can get whatever they want, I'm probably just getting the sampler so I can have a little bit of everything. Some of that succulent brisket and some of that jalapeno cheese sausage that I like so much. And those amazing pork ribs. I love pork ribs. I'm telling you, folks, I love pork ribs. 1775, what they do with ribs is probably the best thing that's been done with ribs since God created woman. And you know what? 1775 might actually be better because the ribs don't, give you a hard time.
They don't talk back?
No.
1775, txbbq.com is the website. The phone number, 979-492-6241. It's 1775.
And it's good.
Let's stay.
I'm Wes Mangan, and I live on a piece of property with my wife and 2 boys and several animals. I work in oil and gas, and I travel a lot, and so when I come home, it's like my sanctuary. I get to see Lauren and the boys, and it's been just a perfect fit for us, and it's really improved our family time. And this is the first land I'd ever purchased, so dealing with the land side of things and dealing with Capital Farm Credit was super easy for us through the whole process. I definitely feel like with Capital Farm Credit, together we are better.
Let's have a conversation about college football, shall we?
Oh, there's never a bad time to talk about college football.
We're going to do it right here in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone, where I feel like I'm having my wine cooler, Bartles and James, just enjoying.
And we thank you for your support.
For those who don't understand that reference, back in the day, there was these two old guys on a commercial that would just drink their wine cooler. Was it their wine coolers, right? Or out on the patio, right?
And one of them, the heavier one, would say, and we thank you for your support.
Obi, there's a thread on TexAgs about, and I didn't go into the rabbit hole it was, but I thought it was a good talking point about when people talk about football's better when Miami is good, or when
I always say Notre Dame.
Notre Dame or Nebraska.
Well, then it hadn't been good for a while if it's only good when Nebraska's good. But
well, I think people say that because of their youth / when they really got their love for college football, right? So, for instance, I am one of the few in the world that liked the NBA in the 90s. I liked the bad boy era, right? The Detroit Pistons days, the Bulls, Michael. That's when I really got my love for basketball, right?
You're kind of a bad boy.
I am a bad boy.
Yeah.
Am I more Will Smith or Martin Lawrence in this equation?
I've never seen you slap anybody, so I'd say Martin Lawrence.
Okay, good. He's funny. Anyway, but I think that's where it comes from. I think it comes
Your
from
wife's not bald, right?
No.
Okay.
No, she has a wig that's real.
Okay.
Anyway, do you agree with that though? Like, we all go back to, oh, this is how I came up. Like, there's going to be a group of folks that are going to think this was the era of college football, right? Like, this is the best era.
Yeah. The one I always hear is, and it's from media, oh, college football is better when Notre Dame is good. I said, no, it's not. I mean, I've seen college football be great when Notre Dame's not.
Yeah.
College football is great because college football is great. And I think it's better right now. I love the transfer portal. I love NIL. I love guys getting tons of money. I do think they got to honor their contracts. Mm-hmm. I love other people. It's great for the economy. More people spending money, the better for everybody.
Sure.
So I love it all. And I love that a team like Indiana can win the national championship.
See, I love it, but I prefer the way it was, loyalty to a program. But I love the freedom that you can exercise. Does that make sense? Like, there's a part of me that's like, this is really, like, from a viewing standpoint, this is fantastic television. I love the drama of seeing Indiana and Miami go at it in the national championship game. Who would have thought Indiana, right? But I also, I like the days of guys staying at a school like Marcel Reed for his whole career. Like, there's a lot less of that.
But do you think Marcel Reed would stay his whole career at A&M if they're not going to pay? If they're going to pay, not paying him?
No. But back in the day, I guess my point is back in the day, people stayed long time.
Yeah, they did because they didn't have any other options.
Yeah, they had to.
Now, I want Marcel Reed to be loyal to A&M, but you know what? That means A&M has to be loyal to Marcel Reed.
Right.
And not just A&M. You know, that's how it is. Because you saw the kid from the receiver from Texas. They were going to lowball him, so he's going to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Right? And I get that. So, but I think college football is great. I think this was one of the more intriguing, greatest college football seasons ever. You had the whole Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not supposed to play for national championships, and yet they were right in there with Miami. And despite the whole Lane Kiffin drama and everything going there, so I think the only thing that screwed up this college football season, in my opinion, and I'm not talking about the A&M. I do think A&M was underseeded, and so that. But hey, you had a chance to beat Miami, and you didn't. But the whole idea, the whole mess up with the rankings, there shouldn't have been 2 Group of 5 teams in. No. And I get it why it happened, but that should never happen. And you got to make sure.
Should there be a Group of 5 team?
I don't. Yeah, if
they're worthy,
there should be a. You should have to be ranked at a certain point and things like that. No, you don't get in just because we got to put in a Group of 5 team. If they're worthy, sure. I remember back when TCU would have been considered a Group of 5 team, right? Talk about 20 years ago when they beat Wisconsin for the Rose Bowl, right? Yeah, that team. Some of those Boise State teams, but not. You don't get in just because. We had to put a Group of 5 team in. But at the same time, I don't like the whole idea that they're saying, "Oh, if Notre Dame has this, they're automatically in." Like no special consideration for anybody. You win a conference championship, you're in.
Well, and there's going to be a clear line in the sand.
Everybody else has to make it. Yeah.
Of this era versus the prior era. For instance, Pete Thamel talks about the genius of Nick Saban. He goes, it's why Nick's genius of many geniuses, Nick Saban, is that he left college football at the exact perfect time because he was no longer able to stockpile the roster in a way that he had won 7 national championships. So I think it's a historic night in a lot of ways, talking about the way Indiana did it. Because it is a different era.
Does that make you a genius or does that make you
a hoarder?
A hoarder or a coward?
So now, are we going to find out who a real good coach is because you're having to do it with less?
Well, I think we know.
Yeah.
I think you got to adapt, and everybody's going to adapt. I mean, I guess look. We saw it in basketball. A lot of coaches got out. A lot of great coaches got out. Okay, fine. If it's not your thing and you don't want to have to deal with that. But I wonder if coaches have to work as hard in recruiting high school guys now, because now you say, "Hey, I only need to get 20 guys." It's like I wonder if Mike Evans today, Mike Evans coming out of Galveston Ball High School, I wonder if he would have gotten a scholarship, because hey, I can just focus on 20 really good guys,
right?
That are big time prospects, and I'll let somebody else develop them, and then I'll take them away after they've been developed.
Well, you mentioned Ole Miss earlier. Ole Miss built that team through the portal.
Right.
There's that example. And then I think there's an LSU example where they tried to build it through the portal this past year, and it failed miserably.
Right. So you gotta, as a coach, work that portal hard. LSU took some guys last year that, quite frankly, were risks.
Well, and then you look at A&M that I think had the perfect mix, okay?
Yeah.
You got homegrown guys, Marcel, Torian. You got transfer portal dudes that made huge impacts, and development transfer portal guys like Marge, like Cassius Howell. You got Will Lee, who came in that I wouldn't call him a development guy. I think he was already pretty established, right?
He was already the blanket.
Yeah, he was the blanket. That's right.
Yeah. You already got that blanket. So,
but it really comes down to quarterback play.
A lot of times.
Like Miami, if they would have won the national...
I don't think Ohio State won the national championship last year because of Will Howard.
No, they had a lot of talent around Will Howard. He didn't make mistakes, which would have been the Carson Beck formula this year. Because Miami, had they won, probably not because of Carson Beck.
No, I would agree with that.
Right?
Even though I'm not a big fan of his, but I thought he played pretty well the other night until the last interception.
But he's typically not the reason you're going to win. He might be the reason you lose.
That's true.
But he's not going to be... I mean, he was a reason that they beat Ole Miss. He was the final reason.
I said it before, Carson Beck doesn't make guys better around him. What Carson Beck does is you put good players around him, he can get them the ball.
Yeah.
You know, like at Georgia, he had Brock Bowers, he had McConkey. Well, at Miami, he... Hey, find a way to get the ball into Malachi Tony's hands.
Yeah.
Turn around and hand it to Mark Fletcher.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, let's get into some basketball talk, shall we, Obi?
Yes, we shall.
All right, right now, I want you guys to imagine a workspace designed for how we work in now. Collaborative, inspiring, and surrounded by real energy. And that is the Lumen at Lake Walk. The Lumen is Bryan College Station's only Class A plus office building with lake views, on-site dining, fitness, and conference amenities, all just steps from the Stella Hotel and everything Lake Walk has to offer. The place is built for the modern business, a place that helps attract talent, impress clients, and keep teams energized. And here's something about Aggies that are really going to appreciate. The Lumen is an Aggie-owned project developed by William Cole Companies, the same group that brought you Traditions Club, the Stella Hotel, and Lake Walk. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, if you're looking for your next headquarters or family office, this is where innovation meets lifestyle. Now leasing at the Lumen. Learn more at lakewalktx.com. That is lakewalktx.com. Check it out. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test, or closing in on a deal, or getting ready for TexAgs Live, you never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar. I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going? You use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is at 10:50, but right now, caller number 12, we're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza. And, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. This is TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB, Nick Saban and others have talked about rat poison when it's out there, right? Well, Joe Lenardi's got A&M basketball right now as a team in the tournament.
Yeah, I hope so. I look at it as hey, it's starting to seem like a real possibility.
Yep.
But the fact of the matter is they need to win tonight against Mississippi State, and they probably would need to win against South Carolina because we're going to find out about A&M the after South Carolina the next 5 games.
Yep.
They play teams like Florida.
We got it right there. We got number 21 Georgia, at 17 Alabama. Then they host number 16 Florida. Then they have Missouri. Then at number 15 Vanderbilt. That's
a tough 5-game stretch.
Yeah, it is.
I would take 2 and 3 out of that right now.
Oh yeah,
and maybe even 1 and 4.
Right.
I mean that's gonna. So you got to bank as many wins as you have because the really tough sledding is coming up, and then you got to go on the road to Oklahoma, a team you figure you've already beaten. But you got to go on the road.
And you got to do it again.
And Arkansas, A&M always has great luck in Fayetteville. No. And you know what? LSU's starting to figure it out.
Yep.
You're going to. So I love what I've seen from this basketball team. But let's understand that the real grind hasn't started yet.
No, the real grind hasn't, and that's why this is not a trap game against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a team that can absolutely beat you. I think they've lost 2 or 3 in a row.
They've lost 3 in a row, but they beat Texas.
Yeah,
they
beat you last year.
They did. They just mugged Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I think they beat them almost 20, and I think they've lost 3 in a row. Lost by 1 to Ole Miss in the last game, but Josh Hubbard They call him 6 feet tall. I'm calling BS on that. I don't think he looks 6. Maybe it's just because he's around tall guys, but he looks smaller than that. But what a basketball player that guy is.
Yeah, he can hoop. This is a very big one for A&M. Again, to your point, you better get as many as you can now.
Yeah.
Because, look, I do expect them to go and win 1 or 2 of those games. Hopefully more, right?
Hopefully.
But
hopefully they'll sweep it. I don't think so.
That schedule, though, and again, the margin of error is so thin considering how thin your roster is, how small your roster is, and you're already without size and what was supposed to be your best scorer.
Yeah, and that's too bad, but they're playing great. And again, like tonight, I don't know. I don't think Mississippi State is that deep. And if you can't go 10 deep, you're going to have trouble with A&M.
Yep.
If you got guys that are having to play 35 to 40 minutes, you might be in trouble late because, A&M can just, the way Bucky plays and they can go 10 deep. So I feel good about tonight. I know that Mississippi State has a 7-footer, so Aggie's going to be, looking up at somebody again every time he has the ball in the paint, but It hadn't bothered him. He's quicker than the big guys.
Yeah.
So he's found a way to compensate.
So now what you have to do, look, there's several players on Mississippi State that can get you, but can you make life hard on Josh Hubbard? Do you put Rylan Griffin on him? It's going to take a village, though, right? You're going to have to send several guys at him.
I would have Rylan Griffin on him, and then the next time he's looking for Rylan Griffin, and
Marcus Hill and
Jakari Lane, and he doesn't know where it's coming from. Sometimes it's 2 guys, and sometimes when he doesn't have the ball, I got somebody on him. Just you're not going to get the ball, and I don't care how good a shape you're in and how good a player you're in. You're eventually going to get tired if you have to work the whole thing. So even when he doesn't have the ball, make him constantly having to work. That's what I would do. Now,
you're not Bucky.
I'm not Bucky. I'm Buck. But I'm not Bucky.
And you're buff.
I'm not buff. But I'm not, they used to call me Buck. No one ever called me Bucky. Bucky's got it covered. I mean, he's done a heck of a job. Anybody that might have doubted him, he's come from Sanford. Okay, he's a high school coach. Did a nice job. You can't doubt him anymore. He's proven himself. He's made his bones.
I'm curious what this, and I'm not trying to be next year Nuño here, but what the offseason is going to look like for his ability to get guys now that there's proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
Like at this level, proof of concept.
I would think a lot of guys just want to play in that system.
Yeah.
Who wants to play in one of those systems where, okay, we got to do this screen and you come off and hit that screen and we're going to sit 4 screens in to make sure that we get this shot. And if it's not a layup, well, then we're going to kick back. Now, look, they're going to play a fun style. And I think, hey, who doesn't want to play for a coach that says, look, I want you to shoot the 3?
Yeah, and sometimes when you have an offensive-minded coach, the defense takes a step back. I don't know if the defense is not as good as their offense, but the defense is just as intense as the offense on this team.
Well, they're playing really good defense
They are.
now. They're forcing turnovers. Now, do they give up some easy baskets? Yeah, and I heard Bucky say it was the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
If you're going to play that way, sometimes
They're going to get out,
beat it, and there's going to be easy shots out there.
Yeah.
Okay, but you live with that because the way you play. I mean, the best defense is what, a 20-point lead?
That's the best.
And I think that's that may be Bucky's philosophy. And as you say, look, moving forward, when they have more guys that Bucky wants instead of had to bring in. He wanted all these guys, but you know what I'm talking about, a deeper pool to draw from. Maybe they'll have more of those 20-point leads. So right now, it's like a 10-point lead and you hold on. But they've been able to hold on.
They have been able to hold on now.
Usually, except in Tennessee.
I'd like to see a couple things. Can they get closer to that 75% from the free throw line? I'd like to see that. 74, 75% would be great. And let's look, these games are all going to be tight. That's just how it's going to go. Can they maybe not make it tighter than it needs to be?
Cost
of business again?
Cost of doing business. Yeah, and that comes back to making the free throws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to play a little smarter than they do, but it's also, the way they play, a guy like me, like late in the game against Texas, there might have been a couple of plays where they took shots and said, no, that just pull it out, pull the ball out to the perimeter and work some clock because it wasn't a great shot. Because you got a 10-point lead, but
While you were talking,
that's the way they play.
I was looking at the weather for today because it is like this weekend is TBD, right? Get to read, go support this team, go watch this team play. Like this.
What's the temperature supposed to be around about 8 o'clock tonight?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I wonder if A&M will say, hey, maybe we'll open those doors early.
Let's see, 8 p.m.
Probably
today, mostly cloudy, 69 degrees today.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, yeah, keep them out.
Come on.
You can't come in until 7.
But everybody get there. Go support this team. They deserve it.
It is fun. If you like basketball, it's fun basketball. It's not like Buzz when they say, hey, let's try to keep the score low. We're going to miss a shot, but let's see if we can get the offensive rebound.
And put it back up.
Put it up, but then maybe, but Buzz basketball was kind of like, I don't know, a root canal.
What I liked about Buzz basketball,
it was a successful root canal, but still a root canal.
But that's what you do, I think, in year 1 or year 2 as you're getting your players to try to whatever you can to find a way to win. But eventually you want to develop
But it never
something.
changed.
Yeah, it never changed.
By the way, you see what's going on at Maryland?
What happened now?
Well, they're just losing.
I know they keep losing, yeah.
The only explanation I have for that is maybe, their guys weren't raised right.
A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21.
Did he always say the A&M players, they were raised right?
Great parents.
Maryland guys must not have good parents.
If you're looking for a selection that won't break the bank and you have good parents, and even if you don't, Caldwell Country Chevrolet is stocking up on vehicles as we speak. Their inventory is growing daily. When you go there, you're going to see that their prices are south of the big city deals out there. They have real prices there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. And the trade-in value is second to none. When you go there, you're going to get great trade-in value for your vehicle, and then you'll be able to buy the vehicle that you want with the best customer service out there. And they come with that complimentary oil change for life as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Start your search online, get a feel for it, go out there, and you're going to love what you see. It is Caldwell Country Chevrolet. We're talking about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryant to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people of Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Who is this?
This is Led Zeppelin. That's the
Is it Led or is it Zeppelin?
it's Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant. That's the immigrant song with the Robert Plant doing the great scream. You know,
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know the song, but
yeah.
I
He
just
comes
like-
from the land of the Icens.
I like to pretend like I don't know if it's Led or Zeppelin, like if they're a person.
Yeah,
You figured I knew.
Yeah.
Hey, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
Driver.
Kaylee, hello.
Hey, we have a text from somebody on the text line, and they said, question, with how A&M is playing right now, realistically, how do you plan against Buckyball? And then they also said, what is Mississippi State trying to take away or do to slow down and beat us?
OB, I think, thank you for that text on the Catalyst Pure Performance text line. I think basically it's a battle of wills. Who is able to assert their will more than other? It seems like A&M more often than not is able to get teams to play at their pace, right? Can a team that's big and strong, right, force you to play a half-court game in the paint, which is very hard because when A&M, as soon as they score or the other team scores, they're off and running, right?
Yeah, I don't know that Mississippi State's going to try to change the style of play.
Yeah.
The one thing that I was incredulous about is when they played Tennessee, and Tennessee got drawn into A&M's game. They were jacking up 3-pointers when you should have been dumping it inside and using.
Well, they did a little bit of that
size.
at the end.
And then they won.
They won. And part of that, though, I think was because of the foul trouble. They had to kind of play back.
But Mississippi State's, they're very guard-oriented.
Yeah.
Like A&M. So
they may want to play that pace.
Yeah, they may. It may be a track meet tonight.
Yeah. Good stuff, OB. I appreciate you, sir.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, we've got a loaded 9 o'clock hour. John Harris, footballtakeover.com. We'll talk about the Texans' loss in New England. Pat Henry in studio. Joni Taylor on a mobile. Sydney Cleavinger will have Around Aggieland. At 10 o'clock, we're going to have Brauninger. We're going to have Tom Schuberth. We're going to have your text messages at 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And we are back here on TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. Loaded hour, talk some NFL, some college football, some college basketball, women's college basketball as well. And so we got and track and field too. Coach Henry will be in studio in about 20 minutes or so. By the way, if you are not a premium subscriber, you're missing out on TexAgs.com, all the great content that we have on there. I know Kaylee Dreyer in a moment will have some of that info for us. You have that for us, Kaylee?
Not yet.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I saw your face moving up and down. I'll read you a couple of things that I know that are on there right now. We've got the keys to the game today. Luke Evangelist posted that about an hour ago. We've got A&M softball, number 11 in the ESPN USA softball preseason poll. We've got Coach Ford's press conference from yesterday, so we got a lot of good stuff going on there. Anything you would like to add, Mrs. Dreyer? I said Miss Dreyer.
Yeah, so today we will have 2 NIL interviews.
Okay.
Grace Sparks and Fats.
Fats is coming by?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great.
So I'm excited for those. And then also I just want to touch a little bit on track and field. Texas A&M track and field's Lily Carlson was named SEC Women's Field Athlete of the Week, and Lawson Jacobs was named the Men's Runner-Up of the Week after their performance at the Corky Classic. Lily broke the women's pole vault school record and now ranks 3rd in the country this season and 1st among freshmen with her 4.41 meter mark.
Have you noticed since your time at TexAgs, Kaylee, that every 2 or 3 months, an argument on the YouTube page about the same topic comes up? Today is LeBron versus Michael. I think I just said that I liked 90s basketball, and then all of a sudden you got Cooper, the intern in the back, talking about LeBron. You've got people why does that come up? Have you noticed it comes up all the time?
I think because people know it can get you going.
Well, I mean, I recognize the greatness of LeBron James. I mean, he's 40 years old, playing at a very high level still, and he's been amazing. Was it 4 NBA championships, I believe, right? 2 with the Heat, 1 with the Cavs, and 1 with the Lakers, the fake one. I'm going to call it fake just because it upsets people. But beyond that, I recognize his greatness, but I don't even think it's worth my. I think it's more interesting talking about who the greatest quarterback is in the NFL. And to me, it's very easy to say Tom Brady, very easy. But those who I was telling this to Cooper when he was in here. I think you may agree or disagree with this, but I do believe you have to almost watch in real time to have a strong voice or an opinion about. Those of you who watch YouTube to make your opinions, okay, you've probably done this. You're a huge Texans fan, right?
Yes.
I don't think you've ever missed a Texans game. Okay, and I'm going to ask Johnny this here in a second. But you cannot, I don't believe watching YouTube clips of anybody gives you the moment the way real time does.
Yeah, no, you have to watch the actual game.
Yeah.
Because you're missing all the other plays that YouTube doesn't show you.
Well, and not only that, I don't think you can attach the real emotion. Johnny Harris on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. I want to hear where this goes, by the way. Let's go.
Well, in my opinion, when people talk about Babe Ruth being the greatest baseball player of all time, I didn't watch him play. I've seen a couple of highlights. I've read books. I can't speak to it with authority, right? But I have watched Mike Trout. I've watched Shohei. I've watched the great Jose Canseco, right? People that I watched, I can attach a moment in time and also understand all the other tentacles that go with it, right? Like with MJ, I know what it was like to go against the bad boys or what he was going through, right? I understand how good Karl Malone and John Stockton were in the league. Stats don't tell the story. I felt what the up and down meant. And that's why when I argue with folks about different times in history, I think it's very hard if you didn't watch it in real time to have that strong of an opinion of it because you just don't know all the added layers to the conversation. What you see is a highlight and a stat and not the other layers that come into it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. In fact, in my office, I don't know, this is probably back, it was during COVID, I think, is when it started. But we had one of our videographers who's one of the best I've been around, Tyler Suddarth. He was a big basketball fan and a basketball player. And he was also young. He was 24. And one day we got in this conversation about Steph Curry. And he was always prone to, hyperbole and all this. And he started making comments about Steph being the greatest shooter ever and whatever. And I said, man, Larry Bird was badass. and it got into this whole argument of Larry Bird versus Steph Curry. And he had never seen Larry Bird play. I'd seen both. I understood what Larry went through in the 80s.
Yep.
And it evolved into, not just shooter, but player. And he had never seen Larry Bird, yet he was staunch in his argument that Steph Curry was the greatest shooter, greatest player, better than Larry Bird. And I said to him eventually, I said, you ever see Bird play? I was like, did you ever see the game in the 80s? Did you see what Bird did? Did you see how Bird changed the game? Dude was 6'9", white and slow and dominated every dude he ever faced. I get that Steph is, and I came around to the fact that, okay, yeah, you can convince me that Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. I've seen both shoot. I think Steph is automatic 3, but you also have to understand the era too.
Yep.
1980s, Bird got in the game in 81, and they had just brought the three-pointer in vogue. I mean, they just brought it to the game his rookie year in the NBA. By the time Steph got into the league, three-point shooting was everything. So the games and everything are different. It's very hard to compare over eras and all that kind of stuff. But if you've at least seen it, then I can trust your opinion a little bit better. But if you sit there and tell me, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the most athletic big you've ever seen, but you haven't seen Akeem Olajuwon go up and down the court, and I can't listen to you. And I know this happens a lot, David, and I know we'll talk about this, throughout the rest of the next 4 or 5 months, et cetera, is the draft. And a lot of people will go to YouTube and they'll watch a couple plays. Oh, I want this guy. This is my guy. I've been watching clips on YouTube. I want this guy. Well, did you watch this guy play against Utah? Because if you watched all 65 plays of him against Utah, he had 2 and then disappeared for 63. What do you do about that? The 2 that went on YouTube were tremendous. But what about the other 63? So there's a lot of that end up in my world. And it's funny because there are times that I will use YouTube just to kind of get a feel for somebody, whether I initially like them or not, but I won't do it off a few plays. I'll watch a whole game, but you can watch a whole game on YouTube. And that'll force me to go back to my film department and say, hey, give me tape on Temple or give me tape on Toledo. I want to see this guy in full. I want to see the full package. And that happens a lot in our business. And, with the many people out there that, speak loudly above everybody else and think their opinion is more than anybody else, we get that a lot, David.
Yeah, and look, I also think it's so hard to compare eras, and people do it, but like the way defenses in the NFL are now are different than when Dan Marino was playing, right? Or John Elway. MJ played against an era where he would score 40 in games that scored 85 points. So he scored half the points of the game because it was such a physical era. So it's very hard. Like, I think they can all have their place, right, on this mythical Mount Rushmore in whatever sport we're talking about. But unless you have seen it, right, like really seen it live, I just think the argument only becomes about stats. And stats, I think, they can be deceiving based on the era, the way the game is played.
Yeah, I was once told when I was a young coach, somebody phrased it as stats are for assistant coaches and losers. And that was really before fantasy took off big, so I would throw fantasy in there as well. And I think stats, stats can help with a narrative if you're trying to paint a narrative of something, but they obviously don't tell the whole story. I think, in football, I think probably the biggest example, and you kind of alluded to it, when you talk about guys in the 80s, Dan Marino, Marino was one of kind of the first one to put up the monster stats. And the game was kind of changing because back in the 80s, it was more running game. All the way up to 2005, I remember 2005 draft, there were like 3 running backs taken in the top 5. David, if 3 running backs are taken in the top 5 now, it's because something has happened to all the draft picks and there are only 10 players left and you can only take running backs. It's just the game has changed. And so now if a guy completes 65% of his passes, it's kind of like, okay, is he accurate? I don't know. It's 65%. Back in the 80s, if a guy completed 65% of his passes, he was going to the Hall of Fame. So, different eras, there's so many different things that change. Defenses change, offenses evolve, all that kind of thing, in all sports. It's kind of amazing. I mean, you think of golf, Jack Nicklaus used to be this big hitter, and he hit it maybe 270, 280. Now you got guys that are 165 pounds in golf, and they pound at 330 like it's nothing. It's just everything changes. Equipment changes. Technology changes. Players get bigger, stronger, faster. They're focusing on one sport, which I don't always agree with. And it becomes, such a different vibe from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Everything changes. And so, yeah, it's very difficult to compare eras, especially if you haven't seen anything of one era and you're just saying, oh, this era is the best.
Speaking of eras, we're in a different era of college football. So what Indiana just did, I don't think it'll be the norm, but it has shaken up the game, man. Your thoughts on the way Cignetti and Indiana ran through all of college football this year?
Well, here's what I think happens in our microwave society in a sense. Everybody wants one reason why something happened. Well, this is the reason this happened. This is the reason this happened. Well, this is the one reason. Like, we'd like to be able to boil it down to one thing. I know a lot of people have talked to me over the last, how many ever days since Sunday. I'm like, we lost that game because CJ Stroud did this. And it's like, nah, CJ contributed, but everybody contributed to that loss. There were many reasons. And, therefore, there are many reasons why Indiana won this national championship. And it wasn't just, well, they have older players. Well, good on them. They still got college eligibility according to the rules. So be it. But I think it also proves, another thing, and that is those guys played together. And I mean, he brought a lot of guys from JMU. So those guys have been playing together for a few years. But you got to have the confluence of experience, talent, which I think a lot of people, and this is hard. It's hard for people in college football. I've noticed in the SEC, it's very hard for people to understand how other conferences even play football at a high rate. And yet the Big Ten has won the last 3 national championships. But it wasn't just one thing. They went out and spent money, but they spent it well. They went out and got a tremendous football coach, highly organized, tremendously disciplined, and he coached his butt off. They went out and got players that were going to play together as a team. It was much more the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And then they went out and put the capper on and got a quarterback that had been good at Cal, but he came to Indiana, had great coaching, and he flourished. And so to me, what Indiana's story tells you is you can play mistake-free football. You can be multiple on both sides of the ball. You've got to have a talented, strong leader at quarterback, and you've got to have an unwavering belief in your coaching staff in addition to spending money well. Let me ask you this. How much money did Auburn spend on Jackson Arnold last year? Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that was a great move, right? It turned out to be another lousy move because you spent money incorrectly. Or, incorrectly is the wrong word. It just turned out to be a bad financial move. And those things kill you, obviously, in the NFL. And now they're going to kill you in college. So you have to make sure if you're paying $1 million for a running back, you get $1 million worth of value. And I think what colleges are still trying to understand is value. What is the proper value for players to bring in? And some schools have just said, bleep it. We're just going to throw millions of dollars at dozens of guys, and 12 of them are going to work out. And it's going to look like we spent money really, really well. And that might be the case, but in the end, if you spend the money, as Nick Saban likes to say, on the wrong guys, then you're going to end up having an issue. And I think this is the other thing to consider. When you go out and you spend money on players and obviously make them professionals at that point, ego can get involved in a big way, especially for, kids 18 to 22. I mean, I see it in the NFL with, guys in their mid-20s on into their 30s. Ego is a massive factor in all of that. So you have to, as a coaching staff, massage all those egos and know, that guy I'm better than, but you gave him more money than I got. And that tears your team apart when you have things like that. And it never felt like Indiana had that sort of thing. Their offensive line played its guts out. They beat people up the line of scrimmage. Physically, defensively, they were very, very good. All the things you think about a football team having, that's what Indiana had. It's just really hard. Like you said, we were talking about earlier, comparing eras. Indiana is the losingest college football program in history. And they turned it around like that. And it wasn't just one thing. They hit on everything. And yes, there's a little bit of luck involved. Kirk Cignetti. What if Indiana doesn't hire him and they go with some other hot shot? But no, they gave a job to a 63-year-old man who said, I win, Google me. And then he went out and did it. I mean, it's one of the greatest Joe Namath predictions of all time. And he pulled it off. But when you watch them play, you realize what he got right. They play hard. They play physical. They've got good athletes. And they show up to play every week. And he is one hell of a coach. And Mike Shanahan and Brian Haynes are two of the best coordinators in the country.
Talking about Johnny Harris here. Johnny, I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't know if we should do, but you've seen it, so you're allowed to. Let's compare the best college football teams ever. Who's the best college football team you ever watched play?
To me, still, it's 2001 Miami.
Me too.
I never saw them live, but when on the 2001 team, Sean Taylor, Kellen Winslow, Vince Wilfork, and there's one other, were backups on the 2001 team. They were backups. They were three of the best players in college football at their position. They were three of the best NFL players at their position, obviously before Sean Taylor was unfortunately killed. My favorite player of all time, Sean Taylor. That 2001 team was unbelievable. And here's the thing. Everybody likes to point to score differential, and Indiana had a great score differential. But Indiana is a toe length away from losing to Penn State. A toe length from losing to Penn State and then having to watch a championship game in the Big Ten that doesn't include them. Now they got to play an extra game. Now, it's going to be at Indiana, but they got to play an extra game in the playoff. Now everything changes. But Omar Cooper gets his toe in against Penn State in a game that Penn State probably had won. And so every great team is going to have kind of one of those moments. There's one team that didn't, but I never bought them defensively other than one particular player, and that's 2019 LSU. Now, 2019 LSU is the greatest offense I've ever seen, bar none. It was, I mean, they were magical to watch. But defensively, I didn't think they were great other than the true freshman corner they had, some guy named Stingley. Other than that, I thought their defense was just okay. But the offense was so damn good that every time they took the field, you're like, what are they going to do next? I mean, that's the best offense I've ever seen. But I can't make them the best team I've ever seen because I think defensively they were just okay. But those are the two that come to mind, 2019 LSU and 2001 Miami. I would throw 2020 Alabama in there. They were dominant all year long. I mean, the receiving group they had, Will Anderson Jr. was a true freshman. But that was so hard during COVID to kind of, I don't even know how you make that comparison. But I still think you played a full season with Alabama in 2020, take all the COVID stuff out and just play ball. I think you would have I would put 2020 Alabama in that mix. And one that's going to, that I watched, and I was a young adult watching them. This one's hard to compare, and I guess maybe because they ran more option, but 95 Nebraska was, they were a bunch of meatheads, and they just dominated people. But they couldn't hurt you really throwing the ball. They dominated the Big 8 at that time. It wasn't the Big 12 yet. They were the Big 12 the next year. Big 8 wasn't great, but they destroyed Florida. That was a good Florida team, too. The one that won a national championship the next year. 95 Nebraska just had a bunch of meatheads, and they beat the hell out of everybody. But I would probably put them fourth just because if you had to make Tommy Frazier throw, I think you could beat them. But those would be the ones. 2001 Miami, 2019 LSU, 95 Nebraska, 2020 Alabama. Those would be the four I'd put up there.
Johnny, you mentioned one more thing for you, the Texans. I looked at that game this weekend, and I'm like, look, CJ had a rough game. There's no doubt about that. But he was missing a lot of his targets. I don't think the offensive line was great. So while he did have some throws, many throws that I think he'd like to have back, you said it earlier, it wasn't all on him. There were several issues in that game.
Yeah, start with the fact we couldn't run the ball. We probably got away from it. I saw a clip from the Patriots sideline, and they kept talking about, they keep throwing the ball. And look, it was it was kind of this misting snow for at least the first three quarters. In the fourth quarter, it picked up. But CJ's had issues before throwing a wet ball, throwing in the rain, obviously throwing in the snow. That's something that's got to change because in the AFC, you're going to have to go through Buffalo. You're going to have to go through Baltimore. You have to go through New England again now. So you're going to have to learn how to do that. And, we didn't do that well the other day. And, it was mistakes. First drive, I hated seeing CK. It's 3rd and 5, and CJ hits him right in the 1-3, and he drops it. And it was kind of like that. But we kind of went through that early, and then we got the 10-7 lead and thought, okay, we're good. It's kind of like a flight. The early part of a flight, you're kind of going up and you're banking, it's turbulence, you hit the clouds, you're shaking, but then you get above the clouds, you're like, oh, we're good. We're good. It felt like at 10-7, we were above the clouds. And, well, then we hit a lot of turbulence with the pick six, and then obviously the whole thing changed. In the second half, with everything that had gone wrong, we went down, field goal drive, another field goal drive. It's 21-16. We're like, somehow we're back in this game and looked like total dog, what, in the first half. But Keyshawn Booty made the catch of his life, and it's 28-16, and now we're in a lot of trouble. And it's just, CJ was a part of it. Offensive line was a part of it. We missed Nico and Dalton Schultz badly. We missed Trent Brown badly. Those guys were huge for our offensive success. But if you don't make the mistakes even without them, you win that game probably 28-14. But you didn't. You did make those mistakes, and now you got to live with it for a whole offseason. And it's going to be an interesting offseason, David. This is an opportunity to give CJ a big contract. I don't know if the team will. Will Anderson Jr. is going to get a massive deal, and he absolutely deserves it. He's one of the top 5 defensive players in the league. But we got to go out and find some offensive firepower to go with what we got. We got halfway, and now we got to complete the set. But there's going to be a lot of talk in Houston and around the country about CJ Stroud going into 2026. And I can tell you this, David, College Station, I know, is a short jaunt away from Houston. So I don't know how much you've been paying attention in Houston, but there are a lot of people in Houston that are out on CJ Stroud. I think they're foolish. I think CJ had a tough end of the year in the playoffs, but I've seen a lot of quarterbacks do that. Peyton Manning went up there in the 2003 AFC Championship game and threw 3 interceptions and threw for 133 yards, and they got smoked by the Patriots. Bleep happens. What do you do from it? Peyton Manning turned into one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. What's CJ Stroud going to do after this? And that's going to tell the story of the Texans for 2026 and beyond.
Johnny, we appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man. I love you, bro. Talk to you soon.
Love you too, man. That's my guy, John Harris, on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. Coach Henry will be in studio. When it comes to preserving your farm or ranch's legacy, it's not about capturing pretty pictures of your land. Heritage Films got a product that they've had out for about a year or two. It's called the Farm and Ranch Films, and they understand what really matters, transferring the values that you built your operation on to the generations that will inherit it at some point. And Chance McClain has interviewed thousands of people, and he knows that the Blueprints for America is about building character, and that is done through your hard work on your beautiful land. From timber farmers thinking in 100-year cycles to cattle ranchers preserving their traditions, Farm and Ranch Films will capture the wisdom your grandkids will need. Visit yourheritagefilm.com and click on the Farm and Ranch section of the website, or call them up 713-893-8341 to preserve not just your story, but your family's foundation. It's Heritage Films. I've been waiting for this segment for a couple of weeks. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. My good friend Pat Henry, he's with us weekly during the track season. And from running shoes to Aggie pajamas, the Aggie family's got you covered. Visit Brazos Running Company in Century Square or shop Mason Hay at masonhay.com for your pajamas with Aggie logos on it. Coach Henry, how you been, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's been a minute. You've been busy.
Yeah, I have, and you have too. But shoot, last week it just came up upon me. I actually was just going 100 miles an hour at the time.
That's okay. That's good.
I couldn't stop.
I don't know if you know this, but you win a lot, so you can do whatever, my man.
No.
You're always good to me. I'm happy to have you here.
Good.
Just give me the vibes right now. Early season. I know we had the Corky Classic. How are you feeling about things?
Yeah, I think anytime, this group is a returning national championship team, so they have they're a little bit different thought processes going on, and some of that's good and some of that's not good. But this group is we're starting to come together as a team, and that is a process, and there's a lot to that. And it just takes time. But yeah, this was an opening meet. We had an early December meet here with a couple teams here that kind of gave us a feel about some things. But yeah, we put about 35 people on the track this weekend, and so we got a good understanding.
It's interesting. I remember when we first met years back, and you told me to win a national championship or to win an SEC championship, you could do everything right, but you better do it right on that day.
That day.
Right? So, but it is still a process, right? You've got to build towards that. And then on that day, it's all got to come together.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Like this last national championship, I think the volleyball, watching the volleyball championship was really good for everybody because it shows the level of competition across the board. And that's not just that sport. That's every single sport in the NCAA is just like that, so it's very difficult to win a championship, and you saw it. Ours was on. We had our telecast was on, and a lot of people watched that telecast, knew how tough that was to win that championship. Our people were tough on that day. We got it done on that day, and so we were fortunate enough to win.
So we just saw Kurt Signetti win with Indiana. We saw Jamie Morrison, as you mentioned, with volleyball. For you, when you win, how long do you soak it in, and how long is it the next day time to go to work?
Well, the first one I won was in '88, and the reporter was on NBC or CBS. I can't remember which one it was on. The reporters came up afterwards, and the absolute first thing he said to me was, "Well, can you do this again next year?" That's exactly right. That's the way you're thinking at that time, and that's tough to be that way, but that is the way it is. It's tough to win one, but you're always thinking past it. You're always thinking past it as a coach, and you've got it. You either have it together or you don't. And you have to, I do. I have to think past that. We won 10 in a row one time. We won 10 championships in a row with women. 10 NCAA championships in a row. We got to the 11th one and was the most difficult of all of them because no team wants to say we gave up the run.
Right.
And we won the 11th one. So we really won 11 in a row. But boy, the dynamic of that is really, really tough.
Yeah.
And Jamie's going to feel it this year. He's going to know what I'm talking about, and it's something that I've dealt with for a long time. It's a fun part of it. It's why I'm still in it. It's why I still coach. I'm too old to be coaching, but I'm still coaching.
You're still great. You're the best. This past weekend, 3 school records broken.
Yeah, we did. We had some really good things. I think Lily Carlson, our new pole vaulter, a freshman, at 14'5" plus, is a great vault. She looked really good, and the potential is really there. the reason I think she's going to be a good vaulter, and Joe Serra works with her, is our vault coach, is she has the speed to be a good vaulter. She can run down that runway, and so I think she's going to be really good. Henry Zimmerman is a transfer in this year. He's a hammer thrower, but he throws the weight indoors, and he broke our school record the first couple throws. So I was really, he's a big guy. He's a great big guy. He looked really good. And Peter Romu, he's a new freshman. We don't run 1,000 very often. But really the key to that race was Sherman Reese. Sherman is also a new half miler. He took it out. He went out hard. Peter ran right on him. And then Reese, after 800 meters, just didn't have the gas that Peter had. And so, at that point, Peter took over. But Reese made the race. Peter is learning how to run that race. Reese knows how to run that race.
Lawson Jacobs earned SEC Men's Runner of the Week, running a 45:37. Yeah,
he's if anybody has watched our team that knows who Ahmad Robinson is, he's about Ahmad's size, not very big, but has a heart real big, and he is tough. And he's a sophomore, transfer in. Good guy. Got a lot to learn. Runs like a windmill. His arms are wrong. Everything's wrong. We're trying to fix it. And so it's going to take a little bit of time. But to run that fast, it shows what kind of talent he really has.
And then Jaya, what year is Jaya? Because
Jaya is a senior.
Seniors.
Yeah.
Every year it's like there's always something good happening with Jaya, and obviously last year's title. Talk a little bit about how she did this past week.
Yeah, returning national champion, and she ran the fastest opener she's ever run in a prelim. I think she got a bad start, and the girl from Tech is pretty good, and outleaned her right at the line and in the final. But that was good too. That's good for a national champion to get beat. That's important. We got sitting, and she looks really good. I mean, I'm really pleased with her. Really pleased with her. And Jaqueline Scott has not. He may hurdle this weekend here. He hasn't opened yet, but he's the best hurdler we've ever had. And
also a senior.
Yeah, he's a senior.
Yeah.
Ahmad's a senior, but he only has indoor. He doesn't have an outdoor season. So. Yeah, the ones you're talking about did really well. The other one that did really well is Sophia.
Yeah.
I mean, she jumped 20 foot 11 3/4 in the long jump. She high jumped, and then she came over, and I've been running her on our 4x4. As a multi-eventer, you better learn how to run a quarter. And so I'm putting her in a pressure situation. She's stepping out and running as good as anybody we have. I mean, she ran 52-second split. That's big time for a multi-event athlete. I mean, she's tough and fun to be around.
How are you feeling about your freshman?
Good.
Yeah.
If I had to go down that list right now, I couldn't go down that list. We have a new half miler, Dodu, who looked really good. And then turned around and run on we ran 3-mile relays up there. Our 4x4s look real good right now, especially on the men's side. I think we're second in the country right now on the men's side, but by 1/100th of a second. But the group looks really good. Our second group is running real fast too. I've never had. In our first meet, we had 2 teams run 3:05 on the same day. I've never had that ever, and so we have good depth. Not as much depth on the women's side, but I think we're going to come around on the women. This was a good sign this weekend. We ran 3:31, and that's good for right now. We got to get about 3 seconds faster, and I think the potential is there indoors.
Ted Nelson Invitational coming up. Talk to us.
Yeah, I hope we don't get frozen out.
Oh, that's true.
The problem we have right now is warm-up area. and people getting here.
Yep.
You know, that's an issue too. So we got to evaluate that as the week goes on here. You know, our last facility that they tore down, we had two buildings adjacent, and so the football building was right next to the track building.
Right.
So we could warm up in the football building, and that was huge because you can't warm up in our building right now. There's nowhere to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to warm up outside. So if it's cold like this, we can't use the football building this week. They're doing something. I don't know what they're doing. And we can't use the building. So it puts us in a position we might have a meet, we might not have a meet because of that.
Right.
We tried to put some tents together out there and have put some heaters in it, but that'll be okay for 40, 50 degree weather. It won't be okay for colder than that. And so we're dealing with a lot of factors here this weekend. We'll see what we can do.
Coach Henry, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing us in. Come out and watch. People, you'll have a good time.
You will have a great time. And thanks again to our friends at the Brazos Running Company. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Joni Taylor. A little late for Joni. I apologize, Joni, if you're listening. We'll get to you next on TexAgs Live. After a rough stretch to top 10 opponents, Texas A&M head coach Joni Taylor remains focused on the task. In the process, they look to regroup as they welcome number 6 LSU. We go to the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Way late. Joni, don't hate me. How are you? Good morning.
I could never hate you. How are you doing? I'm doing well.
Great. Thank you so much. Sorry I'm late. So I know you've used the metaphor of driving through the storm, and there's a winter storm on its way here. Do you feel like a little clarity, a little bit as you're back at Reed Arena this week and getting a couple of good practices in?
Yeah, I think for us, it's exactly sticking to the process and focusing on the process and not results. And obviously results are what drives our business, and winning is important and it's the name of the game. But making sure that we remind our young ladies, like, we knew we were going to be possibly in this position. And so we still have a chance to control our own destiny. There's a lot of basketball left to be played. We've played 5 games total. And so this is a chance for us to be back at home, obviously with a tough task in front of us with LSU coming to town tomorrow, and then continuing our road journey as we've been on the road a lot in January. But I like the energy we had in practice yesterday. I like the truth that we're able to speak to each other, player to coach, coach to player. And we've just got to continue taking the next right step.
Joni, I watched your team, and I know these last 2 games are, the most recent, but this is a better team than I've seen the last couple of years. How much confidence do you have in this group, just in the brand of basketball that you all can play?
Yeah, we are better in a lot of ways. We've got more pieces. We've got a really good point guard in Pryor. If our fans are tracking, she just reached the threshold that only 6 players in NCAA history on the women's side have done, which is have 2,000 points, 500 assists, and 400 steals. That is absolutely incredible. And so, same thing with Fats. Jana is leading the SEC in rebounding, and so we've got some talent on this team. Again, we are going through a really, really tough stretch right now of slates of three schools that we're playing that are in the top 5, and so I would just tell everyone to continue to stay with us and support us. But I'm excited about the possibilities that we have as we continue to get better and come out of the stretch.
Talk about Nia a little bit and just what she means to this program and one of these really nice success stories of what the portal can bring to a program.
Nia is a senior from Baltimore, Maryland, who is as impressive off the court as she is on the court. She is someone who she wants to be an elementary school teacher and coach basketball. Her heart is for kids. She has a backpack drive at home in August every year where she gives over 1,000 backpacks to local elementary schools and kids who wouldn't otherwise have backpacks to start school with. She serves on our leadership council at the NCAA level. She also is our staff representative at the SEC level. And she came to Texas A&M because she wanted to be an elite point guard. She obviously is very talented. We can't take credit for anything that is a part of her skill set. She brought that with her. But she wanted to learn how to think like a point guard, be under, Chelsea Newton, who played in the WNBA, won a world championship, have the guidance of Darius Taylor, who obviously has been in the WNBA for a long time and has been a GM for the last 6 years. And so she wanted to work on the next step of the mental aspect of her game and just being able to run a team. And I think she's done a tremendous job of accepting that responsibility. She's done a tremendous job of being open to areas where she needs to continue to grow, and just really excited about who she is as a person, the future she has with our program, and once she leaves Texas A&M. I wish we had her for more than 1 year.
Joni, with this particular group, is it, I don't want to say easy, I don't know what the right word is, but to consider what is still ahead with this gauntlet of a schedule that you're in the middle of, looking at it as an opportunity as opposed to the obstacle that it is?
Everything is an opportunity. That just, that it's an opportunity and an obstacle at the same time, and it's both and that's okay. You can't come to this league and not think that there's going to be obstacles, but there's also opportunities. And I think what's so special about this group, unlike groups in the past, is that they mentally can understand and process where they are and show up with fresh eyes and want to get better. If you were in our practice yesterday, you would have not thought we were a team that was 1-4. We had high energy. We practiced at a very high level. We competed. We were able to constructively offer criticism to each other and take that in the right way and try to make those changes and adjust in real time. And so I'm very pleased with how we are continuing to show up in the midst of adversity. And we just need to continue to coach them up well, give them confidence, and they need to trust the work that they're doing.
Joni, how about the way Jani's been playing recently?
That's just someone who now knows, like, the scouting report is she's going to be at the top of the list, and she still figures out a way to get her hands on basketballs. She is always in the gym. She is always in the weight room. She understands that as an undersized post player, she gives up some size, and so her effort and practice has just continued to tick up as it relates to how she works and the reps that she wants to take, because she understands now, having had a taste of this league, what is required. And so she's not a finished product by any means, but she's taken steps in the right direction every single day while understanding the impact that she can have on our team.
Joni, last thing for you. Just talk about this LSU team that's worked through their own bumps. Talk about the challenge that they are and what you all have to do.
Right. Well, I mean, LSU started out 0-2 in our conference. I think that was the first time in Kim Mulkey's history as a head coach that she started 0-2 in any conference. And that's not a knock to Kim or LSU. That's just a credit to how good this league is. And so I think for all of us, when we look around at scores on Sunday and Thursday, none of us are shocked at what we see, whether that's in what other people from the outside would consider to be an upset or not. I think that you're looking to look at a team Thursday that comes in here tomorrow that loves to play in transition. They have elite guard play. They thrive heavily on their three guards. And then they've got post players who combine to put together an impressive stat sheet as it relates to rebounding and scoring around the rim. And so we've got to be really diligent about taking care of the basketball. We've had so many turnovers lately in the last two games that we've played. So we've got to take care of the basketball so it doesn't ignite them offensively in transition. And then we have got to box out and be one and done. The other thing that's really important for us is getting off to a better start in the third quarter. And that's something that we were all scratching our head at to try to figure out how to come out of the locker room at halftime better. That's an area where we all know that we have not done really well. And it's been the thorn in our side as it relates to outcomes. And so that is what we're all focused on now. But we're also going to have our Divine 9 game tomorrow night. That is the game where we honor the 9 Black historic sororities and fraternities. And so a few things happening tomorrow night, but most important, we have a chance to play at home in front of our fans.
Joni, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And again, sorry for being a little late.
No problem. Thank you.
Take care. Joni Taylor on the Buppy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with a short final 9 o'clock segment before we start recruiting country on TexAgs Live. Everyone, David Nuño here for Allen Honda. Had a great conversation with them earlier today. John Allen's the owner. He's been here forever. And also their GM, Rusty Skinner, great guy. Wonderful conversation. They're super local. They're a family-owned dealership, not some massive auto group. And they treat their customers like family because they basically are family. They're Aggie alums. They love Aggie sports, and they've been serving the Brazos Valley with integrity, with passion, and commitment to excellence for over 50 years, which is very rare, by the way, for the independents because people trust them. And that's why they've been doing it for such a long time. Whether you're looking to buy, lease, or service your vehicle, you can count on them for transparent, no-pressure experience that puts your needs first. And I can attest to it. Had a great conversation about my own situation with them. Their knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect Honda to fit your lifestyle, from fuel-efficient sedans to versatile SUVs. Leasing options are flexible and affordable, making it easy to drive the latest models with confidence. And when it comes to service, their certified technicians only use genuine Honda parts to keep your vehicle running at its best, whether it's routine maintenance for major repairs or whatever it may be. And we know that trust isn't given, it is earned, and that's why generations of local drivers right here in the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station keep coming back to Allen Honda. As part of the community with Aggie spirit in their hearts, they are here to make everyone's visit wonderful. So visit their showroom or their service lane and find friendly, efficient, and memorable situations when you go to Allen Honda. Come see why so many College Station and Bryan drivers choose Allen Honda for their automotive needs, and remember, gig 'em. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylee Dreyer, hey.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, not much. We were just chatting about the weather earlier.
Yeah, you're not a prepper.
No.
You don't care.
Kay has tried to get me and Callie to go to the grocery store and buy food, but
do you have enough food to last you through the weekend?
I don't think I have anything.
Okay, that's not going to go well. Do you have to eat a lot or no?
No.
You don't feel the urge to eat 3 or 4 meals a day?
No.
No.
No. I probably eat like 1.5.
1.5? Do you snack?
No, not really. I just don't eat that much.
Do you not like food? Do you not like nutrition, nutrients,
I do.
vitamins, nothing?
Energy drinks.
Okay, catalyst. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so quickly, you guys were talking about A&M basketball's schedule for later on this season, and just some updates. Last night, Vandy lost by 25 to Arkansas, and that's now their 3rd loss in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then Missouri also lost at home last night to Georgia.
Thank you. David Temple sent Babe Ruth's Wikipedia page on the text line, on the Catalyst Pure Performance text line. He says, it's a lot. Credited with saving the sport, the Black Sox scandal, made a commercial endeavor taking the club mentality. In the long run, 100 years, many stats have been overtaken, but he's responsible for the jumpstart of professional sports in America. Agree. I didn't live it, though, so it's hard for me to talk about it with that kind of authority. That being said, historians talk about stuff that happened a long time ago, but I'm not a historian. I just talk about the here and now. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Ryan Brauninger talking about recruiting, and he'll probably make fun of me. That and more. It's TexAgs. Welcome back into TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Recruiting Country, brought to you by American Momentum Bank. American Momentum Bank, the only privately owned bank headquartered in Bryan College Station. They're committed to helping our community prosper by offering you a wide array of personal and business banking solutions designed to help build financial success with confidence and momentum on your side.
Hey, you know what I would never do?
Hi, Ryan Brauninger.
I would never think the American Momentum, great sponsor, great partnership with TexAgs. I would never think to, maybe wear another bank's logo here on this segment.
No.
Or maybe like talking about a checking account I'm opening at another bank during American Momentum's Recruiting Country.
No.
I wish everybody in this company thought that way.
Yeah, like you wouldn't wear Nike to an Adidas event.
Right. If I was going to interview for a job at HEB, I wouldn't wear my Walmart 2-button.
You do wear that often, though, so I can see I could get confused.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there, and we weren't really targeting anybody specifically, just making an overall commentary.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
How are you this morning, buddy?
I'm great. A little tired, but that comes with the territory, and probably going to get more tired once Wild Man comes home.
Yep.
Right now, we don't have it's not a necessity that we wake up in the middle of the night to a screaming baby because he is still in the NICU, but we think we're getting close. His due date was February 7th. So they tell you when your child goes into the NICU, anticipate being there until the due date.
Mm-hmm.
They usually get out a little bit before. So we're getting close to that little window where he's going to get out a little bit before. So making some progress. Going to see how some of these medications work. He's just got to slow his breathing down.
Okay.
And that's just because he's got small lungs.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally normal. Everything else, he's rocking and rolling, man.
Good.
Blowing through diapers like crazy. Makes his dad proud.
Yeah, well, we've been praying for him. And speaking of how tired you're going to be, get ready, buddy.
I know.
The next 2 years of your life going to be. It doesn't last the whole time.
I've been doing a lot of reading and research about baby sleep cycles last every 45 minutes. So throughout the night, they grunt and they squiggle and squirm, and you think that they're waking up, but they're resetting their sleep cycle. But it's going to cause you to wake up because they're going to sound like they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because they're grunting and all this stuff. So I don't know. I probably won't be able to sleep through all that, but and I know my wife.
You wake up
won't.
easily?
Yeah, pretty easily.
Yeah.
And my wife does as well.
We got some cool stuff going on. Where do you want to start?
Well, I can start anywhere. Let's start
Caden
with
Stott?
Well, we can start with Caden Scott because he's the latest commitment. But did want to say we have an upcoming junior day this weekend that is pending due to weather.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, yeah.
But with the forecast currently still holding and maybe even getting potentially worse on Saturday, it's gotten where there looks like there's more precipitation, it's going to be hard to ask people to
come
travel. And this coming weekend's visitor list it will have more out-of-state names on it. We'll release the entire list tomorrow, assuming that the junior day is still on. But it's hard to ask people to come in town. And it's not just as easy as, hey, we're 24 hours away. We don't think we're going to have it. Too dangerous. We're just going to move it to the following weekend. You got to understand that a lot of these high-profile high school prospects have made their spring itineraries out well in advance. And so, they're going to go to a lot of your top rivals and take visits. So you can't just reschedule the next weekend because a lot of them may be at LSU or at Alabama or Texas, Oklahoma. They've all got junior days, and they try not to, as much as they can, make them overlap. Inevitably, you are, but you don't want to, if Texas has a laundry list of guys coming in next weekend, those people have already made those plans to be in Austin or in Baton Rouge, whatever it may be. So you can't turn around and say, hey, just come back next weekend. It's not that easy. You want to have the same effect for your recruiting weekend as it was going to be for, if they were having it this Saturday. So it may be something where they move it back to February or March when spring ball happens. So it'll be interesting if they do postpone it and reschedule, when that rescheduling would happen, because I tend to think that they would give people some time to put it back on their calendar. So maybe mid-March when spring ball happens, that would be a good time for it.
Yeah, and other schools are probably dealing with it as well.
Yeah. And so I would think, especially schools in the region. So I don't know if it's supposed to get icy and snowy in Baton Rouge, but Norman, Austin, DFW, Fayetteville, even Tennessee, like all that whole stretch, I think it could be. It looks like it's going to be pretty tough.
Do you know when they want to make a decision? I mean, you hold off as long as you can.
I think what you do, and this is the baseball side of me, you have to trust forecasts, but not trust them at all. Like you have to walk a delicate balance of, you don't want to cancel anything on Tuesday or Wednesday because in 48,
too early.
Yeah, in 24 hours it may change. But once you start getting into Thursday, Friday morning, we got to do something. If we're going to make a decision, it's got to be now. Either we're having it and we're just going to deal with the consequences of some people being unable to travel in, or we're going to postpone it so that we can get the entire vibe exactly how we want it with all the kids expected to come into town.
Well, in youth sports, there are often times that they'll reschedule a weekend tournament, let's say. And then you get to Saturday and it's
crystal
freaking
clear.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't make a decision on something for the weekend on Monday or Tuesday. Regardless of what the forecast says. Like, give it a couple of days to see if it's changed at all. And that's the way we always do it we're supposed to have a big baseball event here in town on Saturday for 12. And people driving in from across the state for it. And we're probably going to have to make a decision on that tomorrow. But we don't want to make a decision on it on Tuesday when the forecast can change so much.
All right, let's get to the Caden Scott commitment.
So Caden Scott, I think every recruiting cycle there are a couple of kids that early on just feel like A&M kids. And when I met Caden for the first time, it was actually on the sidelines of the New Mexico State game in 2024. It's the first time I'd ever seen him. I heard a lot about him. He had started getting offers out of San Antonio, and he was on the sideline. I was like, bumped into him, and I text Jason right after that and said, I just saw Caden Scott on the sidelines. This kid looks like the top player in the state of Texas in that class. Now, very early on in his high school career, but just going off of measurables, he's a mountain of a kid. 6'7", 300 pounds, and long arms, kind of long torso. Everything looks long. It's a perfect offensive tackle body. And the more you got to talk to him, and his mom was very vocal on social media, and you just kind of start digging into his recruitment. It was like, okay, this feels like one A&M can probably get done here pretty soon. And I know talking to Caden after, it was one of the maybe South Carolina, I stopped and talked to him after, and he was on a visit. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, A&M's going to get this one done. Like that, everything that he is saying, everything that Mom's saying, the energy you get off the kid,
pointing at
it's all points at A&M. And you just do this long enough for every cycle, there's going to be 3 or 4 kids like, okay, yeah, A&M's going to get that. Like, it's just a matter of time. They're going to get that one done. That's how I felt with Caden Scott. And then we started getting some phone calls over the weekend after last junior day indicating that it was done. Like, he had decided to shut it down because at one point in the fall, when I talked to him after that South Carolina game, his plan was to take all of his visits. And I was like, man, I just don't know. Like, again, I've just seen it enough. I don't think that that's going to be how this all plays out. Like, I think the timeline's going to be a lot more truncated than that. And sure enough, he comes in town on the first junior day and locks in his commitment. And just from then, it was, all right, it's just a matter of time. Like, when's he going to announce it? Because there's never been less validity in silent commitments than there is right now. Like, you could walk up and tell the coaches, hey, coach, I'm coming. I'm committed. Cool. Announce it publicly, and then that's when we'll really get after it, because there's so much that the fluidity and the nature of recruiting now has never been more fluid than it is right now because of the portal, because of the NIL space, the whole thing. It's a disaster. It is a disaster, but it has, to me, brought forth and brought light to some of the stuff that we used to put a lot of value in, and said, okay, like, silent commitments aren't even we don't even acknowledge them anymore. So once he put it out publicly, then it was like, okay, yeah, that was real.
Tell us about the player himself.
Yeah, super smooth operator. Now, when you see a kid that big, that early, you worry about, like, will strength match frame, or will he be a little bit awkward? But when you could, like, watch him in just his drill work against air, like, this kid moves laterally very fluid. It's almost like he's got a lot of basketball background. I don't know that he has been a youth basketball player, but he's real light on his feet for such a long kid. But he's not heavy. 6'7", 300, and like you look at him, like there's still a ton of room to grow in terms of physical muscle mass. He's 300 pounds, and there's not a ton of muscle on him yet. So this is going to be a wonderful piece of clay for Tommy Moffitt and the strength staff to get their hands on and mold into an SEC tackle, because every other check mark that you're looking for, he's got. I think he is better on Friday nights in terms of his physicality than he is in camp settings, which usually if a guy's light on physicality in camp settings, you're like, man, that's not going to translate well to Friday nights. But to me, there's more physicality on the tape, especially in the run game. And they don't do run game stuff in camps because you're not in pads. But there's more physicality on the tape than you would probably anticipate after watching him in camp. But in camp, like, you notice his pass sets are really good, man. Like, he's just a really fluid mover for a kid that big. And I think it's for Adam Cushing, you're going, we're starting to stockpile tackle bodies. And it started with Robbie Bordon when they brought him over from Duke. You go to Lamont Rogers and Avery Morcho and Avery Morcho in last class. And, like, these are guys that, and Caden Scott would be another one, like, it's going to take them a little bit, but the upside is through the roof. Like, the ceilings are incredibly high. And if you are a coach and you believe in your development plan, both positionally and overall in terms of nutrition, diet, weights, the whole thing, the strength progression part of it, if you believe in all that, then these are wonderful players to take. And because of how the roster was last year, and you losing so many snaps at tackle between Zune and Crownover and Fothery, you had to bridge the gap, because maybe Robbie Bordon is close to ready, but maybe Lamont Rogers is still that one step off. And so, like, Lamont Rogers may end up being the starting left tackle and be a first-round pick in a couple of years. Like, that's his upside. But your insurance policies were Tyree Adams and Wilkin Formby, guys with skins on the wall, and it just kind of helps us bridge the gap to these younger guys that are going to take a while, whose upside may be even higher than what you've got on campus in those two. So it's helped the transfer portal class helps bridge the gap to the truly high skill level guys that you have in the underclass ranks, and Caden Scott would be one of those.
Back to junior day for a moment. Acting as if it's still happening. Let's get some intel on some of these players. Let's start off with Caden McCarty. Well,
so the list I sent you is from last week. The list for this weekend we'll put out tomorrow, but the list for this weekend's got some really high profile names, a lot of which are from out of state. But Caden McCarty and Hakeem Frampton were in town this past weekend, and Hakeem Frampton, now a state of Texas high school football player, has moved from Arkansas and is at San Antonio Brandeis. And that's a pretty cool move for him. Like, you would think if you're coming from Arkansas and you're going to move to the state of Texas, Dallas or Houston is what everybody comes to think of. But if you look at, for A&M, go back through their history, the past decade, maybe decade and a half, and go look who they've gotten out of San Antonio. The hit rate out of San Antonio has been really high. So they don't always go out there, but when they've gone to San Antonio, they hit on those players. You go back and think about, like, Spencer Neely, Trevor Knight, Kellen Mond. Who am I missing here? Jalen Jones. Like, when they've gone that way, they get real players. And so Hakeem Frampton goes to San Antonio Brandeis, and we'll see how he kind of takes a hold to Texas high school football. But he was in town this weekend, and so is Caden McCarty. And I've been more familiar with Caden McCarty because he's a Houston area kid. The more you kind of unravel about him, the more you like him as a competitor. And he's active on social media, but he came out of the weekend tweeting about how hard he was working to help build A&M's 2027 class. And then this morning he tweeted, hey, I'm not just going after other guys on defense or other guys on offense. I'm trying to bring the best edge guys at my position with me, because, like, we're going to compete. And if you don't want to come compete for a spot with me, then I don't want you.
Right.
So he's saying a lot of really good stuff, and I think he's going to be a good cornerstone piece to have to this class. And he feels like a kid, Caden McCarty feels like a kid that is going to be on campus at every opportunity. It's a short drive from Cypress. He'll be up here. as much as Landon Rink was to try to help A&M's recruiting efforts. And so I thought that was cool coming out of the weekend, as everybody kind of knows him as probably the premier pass rusher in the state of Texas in this class. But like, he is going to be a big recruiting tool for A&M to help recruit guys around him, but also at his position. So I thought that was an interesting tweet this morning from Caden. And he was at it this weekend with a couple of other in-state defenders, one of which being Cooper Witten, which is one of the more intriguing stories nationally, I think, in this recruiting class, because this is a 5-star caliber player out of Dallas whose dad is an NFL Hall of Famer and has just taken the tight end coaching job at Oklahoma. Now, I don't know if you and Howell talked about that last week at all. Here's what I don't know Jason Witten at all. I know some people that know Jason Witten. From what I understand, they called the dad and the kid, Jason and Cooper Witten, have told Texas A&M, look, we know what this looks like. And there's a chance that Cooper goes to Oklahoma, undoubtedly. But they are going to be as upfront and honest through the recruiting process as possible, and they are going to try to find the best fit for Cooper.
That's class.
And they have told Texas A&M that. Like, almost, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the general sentiment, is like, this means nothing in terms of my recruitment. Could I go to Oklahoma? Sure, but I could have gone to Oklahoma before they hired my dad. And I think Texas A&M has been an impact program for him since he really burst onto the scene. And, you had a change at linebackers coach with Jay Bateman leaving and Travis Williams. I've heard Travis Williams has done a phenomenal job already building that relationship and being as personable as he can be. So it's a really interesting recruitment because of who the dad was before he, Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame player, but now he's a coach at an SEC school. You look at that and common sense says, okay, if you had to pick a direction this one was leaning, you'd go Oklahoma. But I'm just telling you, they have been adamant about, we are looking for the best spot for Cooper Witten, and Texas A&M is at the center of those conversations right now.
What about Kennedy Brown?
Kennedy Brown is a kid that, so go back to what I said about Caden Scott. Every recruiting cycle, it feels like there are kids that, A&M's going to get.
Yeah.
I got that impression very, very early with Kennedy Brown out of Kingwood, and then I didn't. Okay. So, like, the very brief glimpse early on, I was like, man, this feels like an A&M kid. And he has since blossomed in. A&M was one of his first offers, and now he's blossomed into one of the top offensive linemen in the country, and I think it's generally more wide open. Mm-hmm. There's some out-of-state programs that have made big pushes. I could see him going anywhere. But I did like that A&M has got him back on campus, and I do like that A&M can show him progressions of guys that have gotten better within the program, and the lack of attrition on the offensive line via the transfer portal has been I think that's something they can start selling, like, hey, like, we are developing these guys and they're not leaving because they believe in what we're doing here. So while A&M, at some point, this thing's going to flip where they're going to have to start playing all these high school guys. Yeah. I think they're buying time to do that, but nobody's leaving, which I think is a huge testament to the culture that Mike Elko has built, but more specifically, the culture in the offensive line room under Adam Cushing.
Jackson Roper and Josh Dobson.
Jackson Roper is another offensive lineman. He's out of Colorado. This is almost a Trey Zune replica.
Yeah.
Very, very similar recruitment, very similar kind of feel to it. But I do think, Trey, when Zune came out of Colorado, he had ties to College Station. He had family members in town. So I don't think that Roper's got that, but it does feel like this is highly recruited out-of-state kid that A&M is going to have a great shot at, and the Trey Zune is sort of he's what's combining both elements, right? Like, he is a key piece. I don't know that A&M is in as good of a spot with Jackson Roper if they didn't have the Trey Zune career tenure to show him. So I do think that certainly helps there. And then Josh Dobson's the number one corner in the country out of North Carolina. He made a really cool video documenting his trip to College Station. That one's A&M's certainly in the discussion, but it's anybody's number one corner in the country. Yeah. He's going to take all of his visits. I do think that A&M will get return visit, and I do think, like, Mike Elko has done a great job there. There's not a corners coach yet, but even without a corners coach, like, I would have A&M in the top 5. So if they make a corners coach's hire and he and Josh really get on, then I would maybe move A&M in that top 3.
Okay. We'll hit a break. We'll come back a little bit more. We'll talk about some headlines and sensationalism, that and more on TexAgs Live. Right now, we're talking about Rollo Insurance. That's where you get a personal agent with a direct number. You don't have to worry about a call tree. You don't have to worry about any of that. You'll just get somebody who knows your situation. They'll know your name. They'll know your face. They'll know your family, right? I have Morgan at Rollo Insurance taking care of our insurance, but there's hundreds of people that work there that are fantastic. The difference is real. 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but their headquarters right here in College Station on Highway 6. Whether it's home, auto, business, or ranch insurance, start a relationship with an expert who puts you first. They'll become familiar with your specific situation. And when you need advice or have a claim, you'll speak directly with someone that knows you by name. That's the Rollo difference. Visit rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. It is Rollo Insurance. We're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. What's that look for?
Dude, I'm in the middle of a story, and you don't even tell me we're back. I could have said anything.
Oh, you don't pay attention to the cues?
You give me no cues. Kay just flashed us up there, and I was in the middle of telling a story about property in San Antonio.
Yeah, most of us outside of Billy put headphones on and know what's happening.
Well, I don't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's
who else sits in here?
Olin Buchanan.
Okay.
Headphones.
Well, if you're asking me to pick who, if I'd rather be like Olin or Billy, that
Luke
is
Evangelist. Headphones. That might not be true. Boy. That's probably a lie. Richard Zane. Headphones. Tom Schuberth. Headphones.
Okay, now you're getting into reputable people.
Yeah, I just made that part up.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we? Be wary of. Why did I slam the table so hard? I was angry.
I don't know, but if you do that with Nick's producing, he gets real mad.
Yeah.
It's not like a rage bait thing that I do.
It's an angry thing. Oh, sorry, Kay. Didn't mean to move the cameras for you. Headlines. All right, sensationalism out there. So you're saying that people are tweeting stuff and putting stuff out there just to get a reaction?
Sure. I mean, I think that happens, and that's just the nature of social media. But right now, if you are a recruiting fan, just take what you see in terms of like leaders and A&M out front or Texas out front or Texas Tech out. Just take it with a grain of salt. It is a slow time of the calendar for recruiting because the top prospects have so much to do during the spring in terms of going on visits, participating in these like rivals, elite camps or the Under Armour camps, 7-on-7 events, giant 7-on-7 events. There's so much going on that a lot of their focus is not typically on making a decision on a school in the immediate future. A lot of that happens in the summer, especially with A&M and Mike Elko. We've seen that like where they are 90% of the way there with their class at the end of the summer. But through June and July, they're racking up commitments seemingly weekly. There's just not a lot of juice for recruiting in this period of the calendar. So understand that, and that when you read Cooper Witten has this as a favorite or Cooper Witten speaks highly of this school, it's just a snapshot in the moment to get you to click and read. And I understand why they do it. I just want to warn people to not get ahead of themselves based off some graphics that you see on social media. This stuff's going to change a ton between now and December signing day, now and the end of summer, whenever you start having official visitors show up on campus. That's when you start putting more credence into those reports. But right now, it is incredibly fluid. And there's no reason, if you're a recruiting fan or you're an A&M fan, to throw your hands up in the air and get upset because a report comes out that Texas or LSU is leading for one of A&M's top prospects.
How about the early enrollees? How are they adjusting to life here in College Station?
Well, it's one of my favorite things to do once they move in is just to ask some people around town, hey, what have you seen out of the, what have you heard out of the new guys? And because I'm always, you follow these kids. For instance, Mike Brown, I've known since he was a freshman in high school. And Mike Brown, I was on record as saying that he is the most improved player I've ever covered that was coming to Texas A&M. So, like, how has he translated into college workouts? Well, I've asked two different people over the last week, and Mike Brown's name has come up both times. Like, way quicker, way stronger, change of direction. Mm-hmm. He's standing out amongst a really talented group of incoming freshmen. So that was encouraging to hear. And that's why I want to ask, just like, hey, like, first of all, it will help me with my evaluations. Like, what did I see? Am I right? Was I wrong? That kind of thing. But it's also, you think you can scout a kid and you get to know them, and as soon as they get on their own on the college campus, how mature are they going to be to handle their business, go to class, give effort in the workouts? Like, if they feel like they're buried on the depth chart because they're 18 and then here comes these 22, 23-year-olds out of the transfer portal, are they fighting for a spot, or are they like, well, I'm never going to play, like, I'm not the guy, so I don't have to act like the guy? Like, where are they at mentally in terms of stepping into a college program? So I always ask about those kind of things. And then, but for right now, all they're doing is lifting and running around. Now, there is no direct line to being good in the weight room and being good at football. If there were, you wouldn't be hosting this show. But
I'm actually not that good.
But you can start to get some data off of him. Like, okay, he looked fast on tape. What do our numbers say?
Right.
I heard Mike Brown has run 22 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. I mean, that would put him amongst probably the top 10, 15 guys on the team. Well, nobody watched Mike Brown throughout his freshman, sophomore, and junior tape and went, oh, he's a burner. But he's just kind of gotten better. And then you start diving into Mike Brown's background, like we talked about during the signing day stuff. Like every hour of his week was accounted for to get him better, whether it be speed work, agility, plyometrics, weightlifting, recovery, stretching. Like he's got every hour of his days are spoken for to try to get him better, and it looks like it's paid off. Some other names that we've heard early on, again, this is like 2 weeks into it, so like it doesn't even really matter.
Sure.
But we've heard KJ Edwards, really good. Like change of direction stands out and going to have a chance to be really good with the ball in his hands. Bryce Perry Wright's name has come across our desk a couple of times. Zayden Crimpin and Samuel Roseboro, both of them. Zayden Crimpin came in, was like in incredible shape, like in such a good shape. They're like, is he an offensive lineman?
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect like he's got some time to put some weight on and add muscle mass, but not surprising to hear about his kind of tenacity and going after the workouts. But Sam Roseboro from Clearwater, Florida is a guy we knew probably the least about of everybody coming in. And we've heard he's turned hit. Tamarian Watkins, they're really high on his upside, long, tall, angular linebacker type of player that can move. Carson Baker is way bigger than anybody anticipated. I think because he was such a late addition and late to the A&M fan base on the recruiting scene, nobody knows anything about him. I saw him with my own eyes, like, that's a big dude. He will be bigger than Le'Veon. Like, no question. Le'Veon, probably 5'11", 200, 205. I mean, Carson Baker is probably 6'1" right now.
Wow.
And real broad shoulders, like, again, very angular. Like, you look at him and wide shoulders that are kind of pointy. And so, I mean, he could end up being a 6'1", 220-pound back. Like, that's what he looks like early in his career. So there's a lot to be encouraged by, but nothing that's going to tell you, oh, these guys are going to be rock superstars in college. Like, there's so much time still left. But I've been encouraged by some of the stuff I've heard about these incoming freshmen.
Good reviews on the portal guys too?
Well, they move in. I think they are all in town now, based off conversations we've had in the last few days. So they're all moved in. I just think they kind of, depending on when they got commitments, and some of them, like for instance, CJ Mims, committed, signed, has to go to Chapel Hill, get all of his stuff, move it back to College Station. Is there a stop in his hometown in between? Like, there's a lot of moving parts anytime that you get these kids, especially late before the window closes. But from what I understand, they're all in town. Now, because they're all relatively new, I haven't heard anything about how workouts have gone. But I will say it was probably around this time, maybe later, maybe 1st of February last year, when we started to hear about Casey Concepcion, not his talent or ability, but how he was the one rallying everybody for these throwing sessions and
integrating the group. Yeah,
we're going to stay till we get it right. Like, we're not just going to go out here for an hour. We're going to go out here and get good work for an hour. And if it's not good enough, then we'll stay longer. So he and Marcel were the leaders there, and I would imagine Marcel's doing the same thing now.
Ronnie, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
When we come back, get you ready for that Mississippi State game. Coach Tom Schuberth next on TexAgs Live. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. Our buddy Tom Schuberth joining us. Tom, are you out of town? Where are you, buddy?
Yes, I'm actually in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, David, doing some ball games up here and then head over to Tulsa and finish up and then head back home to Aggieland.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you've seen from our little Aggie basketball team, man. What'd you think about that game over the weekend against Texas?
Oh, absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it live, but I was just amazed at the score, and then I went back and watched it. So proud of them, and it's amazing. You know, David, I think the SEC coaches and opponents are all waiting for that other shoe to drop and buckyball kind of just crumble. I've even been one of those. You know, is this for real? And what's ironic, I believe it is. They just find a way to win games. And, you know, I tell people sometimes when I'm traveling where I'm from, the first thing out of their mouth is buckyball, you know. So it's kind of traveling around the Southeast and people are getting more familiar with it. I compare it a lot of times to like one of those scary rides at an amusement park. You know, as a coach, you want to kind of get on there and try it. But once you get on, you realize it's a little scary and more difficult than you thought. So he's just done an incredible job. You know, the players have seemed to all bought in, and they have a different guy step up each night, and that's what that system's about. And hopefully, you continue to keep it going in the right direction.
Tom, you mentioned people thinking when's the other shoe going to drop, but the reality is, like, it can drop at any moment in the SEC, right? Because all these top teams are losing, and A&M is doing it with a thinner roster. I mean, even though they're very deep, it's still a thinner roster because of some of the other intangibles that go into building a team, and they still have their hardest stretch ahead.
Absolutely, David. You have a great feel for it, and I feel exactly how I listen to your comments sometimes with other guests and just making the comments, and I'm the same way. I'm like, can this keep going? And you know, Mississippi State's going to be a good test. I had the privilege of sitting courtside. I always call it Gucci Row at the Ole Miss Mississippi State game Saturday night. Tremendous ball game, but it was more of a boxing match than it was a basketball game for a lot of it. Both teams are kind of known for their hard-nosed defense, and Chris Jans does an excellent job of preparing his team. So I'm anxious to see tonight what's going to happen. You know, I know if buckyball plays, you know, 80% to their ability, they'll win the game. I really believe that. But if some things go wrong and Jans can keep the game close, then anything can happen when you have a player like Hubbard.
In your time coaching, like typically for you, like when did chemistry evolve? Like, does it take a season? Can you? Because it feels like they're playing with a lot of chemistry, and we're in the beginning of SEC play. So I'm just trying to get a timeline. And this is a different era of college athletics anyway, where the rosters are changing at multiple places, but like, is this a little faster than expected from a chemistry standpoint?
I think so. I mean, that's the thing that's really amazing. You know, chemistry is everything in team sports, in my opinion. I mean, Indiana football proved that. So I've always been a proponent of that. You know, you need good players, no question, but it's really having a good team and good chemistry. And the fact that Bucky's in his first year and has one player returning from, you know, the year before, it's amazing how quickly they evolve. It's a difficult system to play against, but it's even harder to master and be able to execute it and beat people with it. I always say I think I was in the original one with Jerry Tarkanian. I mean, he revolutionized it. It was a little different back then, David, because there was no shot clock and there was no three-point line. So, you know, the press was a little bit more demoralizing because you couldn't, you know, the offense couldn't get it down the floor and knock down a three and hurt the press. It was all twos and ones, you know. So what Bucky has done this quickly, and then losing McKenzie, that's when I thought this thing was going to be going south a little bit. But they have seemed to get better, and I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes losing a star, you know, you just rally around. It's made the situation where Bucky's had to play smaller and play really a guard at the 4 spot. And to me, that makes them more difficult to play against, and it's a huge adjustment for these SEC teams that have, you know, 6'7", 6'8" interior guys at 3-4 spots on the floor.
Tom, if you're coaching against Texas A&M and they're going to try to do their fast-paced thing, how do you counteract that? Like, because like Tennessee at the end of the game was really good getting the ball to the post. Some of that was because A&M had so much foul problems. But like, it seems like no matter who they play, eventually you're playing A&M's pace, right? And how do you stop that when you know as soon as you score, they're going?
Well, David, it's easy to sit on the sideline and say how to do it, and I think I know the formula. Obviously you can't turn it over in the backcourt. What was so incredible about that Auburn game, Auburn dominated that game till about the 10-minute mark, and then in that 21-second span, I mean, the game turned around, and A&M got their confidence, but you can't turn it over in the backcourt and give them live turnover, easy layups or threes. Once you get in the half court, in my opinion, you can't play quick. You've got to move the ball, get them to multiple closeouts, and then attack them inside. I mean, when AG gets in foul trouble, I was amazed that Rick Barnes, who's a Hall of Fame coach, just didn't keep attacking them and put pressure on the official to make a call and foul him out sooner. But I'm waiting for a team to come up with a formula to beat them. The other thing I think what happens, David, is traditionally pressing teams are always better in the beginning of the year, obviously because offenses of the opponent aren't at their highest pace, and then teams get used to it. So this is not a traditional round robin conference, where you play everybody twice. But I do believe the second time you play buckyball as an opponent, you're going to be better prepared. You've already seen it, and it's going to give you a huge advantage. Now, you still have to execute and make those plays. But I don't want to diminish what Bucky's done. It's amazing. I mean, I know you and I talk. He's far ahead of schedule. That doesn't mean it's going to keep going north, but it's amazing how these guys have bought in and really done it with, it's like no-name guys. I mean, I don't mean to, like I say, criticize the players, but I'm impressed.
Tom, talk to us about Mississippi State, their brand of basketball. We've seen Josh Hubbard up close several times, but how would you describe the way Mississippi State goes about their business?
Well, I think they're a one-man show offensively. They're unpredictable. I happened to watch the Utah game that they had a huge win on the road, and I've known Chris Jans a long time, and we had a function back at Mississippi State, so I talked to him, 3 nights in a row. I had visits with him about his team, and we really didn't talk about A&M. It was more just Mississippi State. But Hubbard is a scoring machine. He's not a great shooter. He can get on a roll, but he's a scorer. They're trying to find someone that can consistently step up and give them some more offensive production. But one thing about Chris Jan's teams, they're always going to be prepared defensively, and he's going to come up with some defensive scheme to disrupt buckyball. The unique thing about it, he hasn't played against it. And I think some of the higher up coaches or teams, they almost think it's like a gimmick. They feel like we can beat this, but no one stepped up and proved it yet. So I think Coach Jans will slow the game down. He has to, because they can't just try to outscore A&M. But I think he'll come up with a defensive scheme to do something to maybe make Texas A&M finish at the rim. That's what I think you have to do. Take away all threes, make them finish at the rim, and if they do, at least it's only a 2, and you can counter that by going down and executing your offense and getting a bucket. So Troy University, it used to be called Troy State, they kind of started this a long time ago. They were a Division II team. They set the record for the most threes in a game, and it was astronomical. It was like 180 to 170. They got with the other team, and they said, hey, we're going to shoot all threes. But when they were really good and made their, I think, first NCAA appearance back in the early 2000s, they played this way. They pressed the whole game, and they either had layups or threes. And the best way to beat Troy is get the ball to the half court, make them guard you, and then make them finish at the rim. Make them make all 2s. Even if they're layups, at least they're not making 3s. I hope I can see an opponent do that and seeing how buckyball responds.
What do you think about their game in the half-court set?
Well, they've surprised me. I mean, you're talking A&M, is that correct?
Yeah,
or Mississippi
A&M.
State. Yes, they've surprised me. I mean, it's amazing how they're patient, and then the right guy steps up at the right time. The guards have done a tremendous job. The offense is predicated on how unselfish you are, and it's amazing. Looking back when I was at the games at Reed Arena, some of the guys that you, and I won't use names, that you would consider maybe selfish or an eye guy trying to get their own points, they were making the extra pass and making great passes. So they obviously bought in and know how you have to be, how to play to be successful. So this is going to be a great test. I love the fact, Mississippi State and South Carolina, 2 of the kind of bottom teams, are coming to Reed Arena. But then that 3-game gauntlet, that's going to be the greatest test. But you obviously don't want the Aggies to slip up in these next two games. And that's what's making this SEC unique. I'm sure you look at the scores sometimes and your mouth drops that some of these teams are losing that you're totally expecting to win.
Tom, great stuff, man. Enjoy your trip. Have a great broadcast. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, David. Tom
Schuberth there on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll get a final segment. We'll do Around Aggieland with Sydney Cleavinger. All right, right now, when it comes to your money, your peace of mind, it starts with the right team. And that right team is Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. No commissions, no sales pitches, just trusted advice tailored for you. They have a team of 18 professionals, including 9 CFPs, a CFA, and a CPA, and their expertise runs deep at Paragon Financial. Credentials matter, and so does your future. Visit paragon-adv.com or call them up at 979-693-3907. That's 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors. Integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors. We are back here on TexAgs Live. It is time for Around Aggieland, and Sydney Cleavinger is there. Sydney, I feel that whatever you're about to give us could change because of the weather coming, because we don't know what's happening this weekend, do we?
Yeah, we don't. I'm actually really excited about the weather, though. I've not really been around snow that much.
We're not going to get snow. We're just going to get cold, black ice.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, I'm excited about the weather, but I'm even more excited to talk about these sports. As we've heard on Sunday, Texas A&M's women's basketball was not able to secure the victory over number 4 Texas, losing 80-35. Looking for a little bit of positive in that negative, though, Janae Kent had 16 points to lead the team, and Nicira Pryor had 4 steals and became the 6th player in NCAA history to record 2,000 points, 500 assists, and 400 steals in a career. The Ags are now 1-4 in SEC play, but that will change tomorrow night when they are welcomed back home to take on the number 6 LSU Tigers at 8 p.m. And then on a better note, for the first time since 2002, Aggie men's basketball walked in that trap and took over that trap. They brought home the Lone Star Showdown trophy after Saturday's matchup on the Longhorns court, defeating them 74-70. After a back-and-forth first half, the Ags showed out in the second, starting with Marcus Hill's steal on the Horns' first possession. Rylan Griffin led the team with 17 points to help bring home that W, while Texas was down the entire second half. They did manage to close the gap to only a 4-point game, but it just wasn't enough. You can see the Aggies return home to compete to be the better Maroon school when they play Mississippi State tonight at 8 p.m. And then lastly, just some recognition of some standout players, starting with track and field. 3 school records were broken during the Corky Classic. Henry Zimmerman broke the men's weight throw all-time mark, while Lily Carlson rose to the top of women's pole vault on opening day. And then Peter Narumbe broke the 1,000-meter record on the final day. Finally, baseball. Infielder Chris Hakopian and outfielder Caden Sorrell were named preseason All-Americans by D1 Baseball. Hakopian was given second team as a DH, and Sorrell earned a third-team honor as an outfielder.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Sydney. All right, we go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Dreyer, follow that up.
Well, I did just want to add on to her baseball note. The Aggies are one of 4 SEC programs to have multiple players selected as All-Americans by D1 Baseball.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. All right, well, good show today. Tom Schuberth had his basketball. We had Bronny just talking nonsense. Pat Henry made it to studio. We had Joni Taylor on. We had John Harris on. And, of course, OB was crazy. Tomorrow on the program, Steve McGee should join us. We'll have Steven on. We'll have Logan Lee. We'll have AT. And we'll have the fan show guys. But the main thing we're going to be tracking is, can A&M continue basketball-wise to win? This Mississippi State game is a big game. They're all big, obviously, the SEC games. But these are those that you want to be on the right side. You want to get as much of a cushion as possible when you go through that gauntlet. The whole SEC is a gauntlet, but especially that last part of it. Cade, what's going to happen tonight?
Aggies by 8 points. Aggies by 8 points.
I was there as well. Okay, who's going to be the leading scorer?
I will go. I think this is going to be a Ruben Dominguez game.
I hate that we're both on the exact same page on both things. That means it won't happen. Because we both said, in my head, I was thinking Dominguez, and I was thinking they win by 8. So good job, Kate. Appreciate you. All right, friends, that'll do it for TexAgs Live here on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you all mañana.